The sky above Earth had long turned a sickly shade of ash gray, streaked with the fires of cities once alive with laughter and life. Humanity had believed in progress, in technology, in the fragile comfort of peace, and then the Therax came. They arrived like a shadow over the sun, enormous ships that eclipsed the horizon, humming with a cold intelligence that seemed to devour hope itself. Their weapons struck indiscriminately, reducing skyscrapers to rubble and forests to smoking wastelands. In weeks, Earth became a graveyard, its people hunted like vermin. But even in the heart of devastation, humans refused to bow. In the ruins of New York, a young woman named Alara Wynn crouched among the shattered remains of her home. Her hair was streaked with soot, her eyes a mirror of determination. She had lost family, friends, and even the comforting certainty of survival, but not her spirit. She whispered a silent vow to the winds that carried the ashes of her world. "We will rise." Alara wasn't alone. Scattered across the planet, survivors had begun to organize. In the mountains of Colorado, Malik Koran fortified caves with crude but effective defenses, training refugees to strike at Therax patrols. In the deserts of Sahara, Sina Valen led a caravan of scavengers using speed and cunning to raid supply lines and return vital resources to hidden strongholds. Each human held a spark of resistance, a fragile yet relentless fire. The Therax, confident in their superiority, underestimated the very thing that made humans dangerous: desperation fused with ingenuity. While other civilizations might crumble under oppression, humans adapted. They studied alien technology, learned patterns of behavior, and, most importantly, nurtured hope where none should exist. Alara found herself in the remains of the United Nations building, now a fortress for the last pockets of civilian resistance. She traced her fingers over a dusty map, charting every encounter the humans had survived. There were victories, small, almost laughable against the overwhelming might of the invaders, but each one mattered. Every small victory reminded them they were still alive. Her closest ally, Tobias Wren, approached with a worn rifle slung across his back. "We've intercepted Therax communications," he said, voice low but steady. "They're planning a sweep of the remaining strongholds. They think we're fractured, disorganized." Alara's lips curled into a wry smile tinged with defiance. "Let them think that. They'll learn the cost of underestimating humans." Night fell, swallowing the city in darkness, broken only by the distant glimmers of alien patrols. Around the campfire, children huddled against the cold, their eyes wide with fear and curiosity. Alara knelt beside them, whispering tales not of despair but of resistance. She told them about humanity's past. The wars fought, the empires built and lost, the civilizations that rose from dust and ruin. "They called us weak," she said, voice trembling but firm. "But we are fire, and fire cannot be contained." In the shadows, the Therax watched, unknowing. Their sensors could detect heat, movement, even fear, but they could not measure spirit. That was the unseen weapon humanity carried into the night. An unyielding will to survive, to fight back, to reclaim their home. Alara and her companions were preparing for a mission that could turn the tide, a strike against a Therax supply hub hidden beneath the ruins of Boston. It was dangerous, almost certainly fatal, yet in the quiet moments before dawn she felt a strange calm. Humans were not defined by their losses, but by how fiercely they refused to surrender them. As the first light of day touched the horizon, burning away the remnants of smoke and shadow, a chorus of birds, fragile, defiant, surviving, filled the sky. It was a reminder. Even when the world fell apart, life found a way to endure. And humans would do more than endure. They would rise. From the ashes, a new era was beginning. The Therax had underestimated the one thing they could never truly conquer: human heart. And somewhere deep in the ruins, Alara clenched her fists, feeling the rhythm of a promise. "We will return. We will rise. We will crush you." The war for Earth had just begun. The ruins of Boston smoldered in silence, a city hollowed out by fire and fear. Yet beneath the broken streets and shattered buildings, a heartbeat remained, the pulse of resistance. Humans moved like shadows, whispering through the debris with precision born from desperation. Alara Wynn led her team through the tunnels beneath the city. The air was thick with dust, each breath a reminder of the lives that had been lost above. Tobias Wren stayed close, eyes scanning every shadow, every flicker of movement. Behind them, a few of the strongest survivors carried crates filled with scavenged explosives and alien weapons they had learned to adapt. "Are you sure this hub exists?" Malik Koran's voice echoed softly in the tunnel. His usual calm was strained, the weight of command pressing on him. "Intel is incomplete. We could be walking into a trap." Ilara paused, her hand resting on the cold concrete wall. "If it's a trap, we'll make it one they regret." Her words were quiet, but every syllable carried the unwavering certainty of someone who had nothing left to lose but fear. The hub was a labyrinth of alien architecture, organic, metallic, almost alive in its alienness. Human technology seemed crude against it, yet that very crudeness became an advantage. While the Therax relied on complex systems, humans relied on unpredictability, on instinct and on courage that could not be quantified. As they moved deeper, a low hum vibrated through the walls. Tobias crouched, signaling for silence. The Therax patrols were near. Ilara's pulse quickened, but she kept her voice calm. "Remember, humans adapt. Observe, wait, then strike." Suddenly, a patrol drone drifted into view, its sensors scanning. Malik raised a hand, signaling Tobias. In a synchronized motion born from countless drills in the ruins, Tobias triggered a small device that emitted a high-pitched pulse. The drone's circuit sputtered and it collapsed into the shadows. Ilara exhaled slowly. "One down. 10,000 to go." Hours passed as they navigated the hub, disabling alarms and avoiding patrols. Along the way they found prisoners, humans captured from distant cities, their eyes dull from despair. Ilara knelt beside one young woman named Ayla, offering a hand. "You're free now. Follow us and you'll survive." Ayla's lips trembled. Why do you fight?" "The Therax. They're unstoppable." Ilara's gaze softened, carrying both pain and conviction. "Because we are human. We've survived worse. Every moment we breathe is a chance to fight back. Every breath is a spark that refuses to die." When they finally reached the central chamber, the scale of the hub's operation became clear. Rows of alien machinery hummed with energy, feeding supplies and weapons into the Therax war effort. It was a beating heart of oppression. Ilara signaled to Tobias and Malik. "This ends tonight. Plant the charges. Make it hurt them more than anything else they've known." As they worked, doubts gnawed at them. Each human present carried a memory of loss, a family, a home, a world that no longer existed. The burden of survival weighed heavily, yet in that weight there was clarity. Humanity's strength was not in their bodies but in their hearts. Their pain became purpose. The explosion shook the tunnels, throwing them to the ground. Dust choked the air and alarms screamed in discord. Yet even as the hub crumbled, the team moved without hesitation. They navigated the collapsing corridors, each step a testament to endurance, each breath a declaration of defiance. Outside, the city was alive with chaos. The destruction of the hub sent ripples through the Therax forces. Patrols scrambled, communications faltered, and for the first time fear flickered in alien eyes. Ilara stood atop a crumbled building, watching the hub burn in the distance. Her team gathered behind her, faces streaked with sweat and soot yet shining with the raw light of victory. "This is just the beginning," she said. "They think they can crush us, but every time they strike we rise stronger. Every loss they give us, we turn into a weapon." Alia stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. "I thought we were finished. But now, I see, we're unstoppable." Malik nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Humanity doesn't surrender. We adapt, we endure, and when the time comes, we strike back with everything we are." That night, as fires burned across the city, a new legend was born. It was whispered among the survivors. Humans were not just victims of war. They were the storm itself, relentless and unyielding. Every action, every strike, every small victory was a message to the galaxy. Underestimate us at your own peril. The Therax would soon learn that humans were not merely resisting, they were evolving. And in evolution, there was power, cunning, and a raw, terrifying resilience that no technology could extinguish. Ilara gazed at the horizon, where smoke and fire blended with the first light of dawn. Her heart was heavy with the memories of those lost, but it surged with determination for those still alive. The war was far from over, yet hope, fragile, burning, defiant, blazed in the eyes of every human who survived. And in that hope lay the spark that would one day ignite a rebellion so savage, so relentless it would shake the stars themselves. The nights grew longer in the aftermath of the Boston strike. Fires still smoldered across the city, and the air carried the acrid smell of alien machinery melted into the ruins. Yet even in this desolation, human determination refused to waver. Ilara Wynne sat alone atop the skeletal remains of a skyscraper, the wind tugging at her soot-streaked hair. Below, the city breathed in fractured gasps, survivors moving cautiously through alleys and collapsed streets. Tobias Wren approached, quietly, his rifle slung casually. Yet his eyes betrayed the sleepless nights and haunting memories of friends lost. "You look like the weight of the world is pressing on your shoulders," he said softly. Ilara's eyes didn't leave the horizon. "Because it is. Every life lost. Every child starving. Every family torn apart. It's on us to make it count. If we fail, there's nothing left." Tobias crouched beside her. "And if we succeed?" Ilara finally met his gaze. For a moment, the anger and grief gave way to a faint, almost wistful smile. "Then maybe one day the world will know what it means to rise from ashes." The Boston operation had ignited something among humans scattered across the globe, a surge of rebellion. Small pockets of survivors attacked alien supply convoys, sabotaged their communications, and liberated prisoners. Yet with every victory came a cost. Human minds began to crack under the constant pressure, haunted by what they had seen, what they had endured. In the deserts of Sahara, Sina Valen stood before her caravan, watching a group of newly rescued children. Their eyes were wide, their innocence shattered. One boy, barely 7, clutched a worn stuffed animal. He didn't speak, didn't cry, just stared. "We must be strong for them," Sina whispered to her second in command. "They must see that hope still exists, even when the world burns. But the weight of that hope, it breaks even the strongest." Back in New York, Malik Korn confronted a different kind of challenge. His group had discovered a hidden Therax communications hub buried beneath the ruins of a subway system. As they prepared to infiltrate, dissent arose among the humans. Fear, anger, and exhaustion collided. "They'll kill us all," one soldier argued. "We can barely hold what we have. Why risk more?" Malik's voice was calm, yet unyielding. "Because if we do nothing, they will erase every last spark of our existence. We fight not because it's safe, but because we must. Because we are human, and surrender is not in our nature." As the humans moved forward, psychological strain mounted. Dreams were invaded by memories of family lost, cities destroyed, screams that would not fade. Some began to question if survival alone was enough, if their vengeance could justify the cost to their humanity. Ilara faced a personal torment. During reconnaissance near a Therax supply depot, she had encountered a Therax soldier who had captured her younger sister Lyra years ago. The sight of her, alive but changed, her humanity dimmed under alien control, shook Ilara to her core. She wanted to save Lyra, to reclaim the sister she had lost, yet she knew the mission could cost hundreds of others. That night, in the ruins of a subway, she whispered to herself, "I am human. I will not let fear decide. I will not let grief chain me. I will rise even if it kills me." Meanwhile, Tobias observed the group's morale slipping. Even the bravest among them were haunted by nightmares of failure and loss. He knew the Therax were intelligent, patient predators, but their greatest weapon against humanity wasn't their firepower. It was the weight of despair. Yet for every faltering human, another rose. Courage was contagious, resilience infectious. A breakthrough came when scouts reported unusual movement near the alien hub, a chance to strike decisively. But with it came a moral dilemma. The hub was surrounded by civilians forcibly relocated by the Therax. Destroying it risked innocent lives. Ilara convened a council of survivors. Voices clashed, arguments flared, tears were shed. In the midst of chaos, her voice rose, clear and unwavering. "We do not strike blindly. We adapt, we plan, we fight, yes, but we remain human. We are not monsters. That is our strength." It was in that moment the survivors realized something profound. The war was not just against the aliens. It was against the darkness within themselves. Fear, grief, rage, all of it threatened to consume them. And yet, in acknowledging it, they found power. For the first time since the invasion, humans did not act merely out of desperation. They acted with purpose, with strategy, with a fierce moral clarity that the Therax could not anticipate. Ilara and her team prepared for the strike at dawn. Every human was aware of the stakes, every heart beating with a mixture of fear and fierce determination. The line between survival and destruction blurred, yet their unity remained unbroken. As the first light touched the city, reflecting off the broken towers, Ilara whispered a vow to herself and to every human struggling against despair. We rise not just from ashes but from our doubts, our pain, and our fear. Today we fight as humans, and today we will endure. The shadows within would not win. Not today. Not ever. Dawn broke over the ruined skyline of Boston, painting the wreckage in streaks of orange and gold. Smoke swirled like ghosts above, shattered streets carrying with it the scent of metal and fire. For the humans preparing to strike the Therax hub, every heartbeat was a drum of anticipation, every breath a reminder of what was at stake. Ilara Wynn adjusted the straps of her gear, her hands steady despite the pounding of her heart. Around her, Tobias Wren and Malik Korin coordinated the final movements. Every survivor knew the plan. Every misstep could cost lives. But fear had been tempered into a sharp edge of focus. Remember, Ilara whispered, we are human. They may have strength, numbers, and technology, but we have something they cannot measure: ingenuity, resilience, and the will to survive. Strike smart, strike fast, strike as one. The humans moved silently, emerging from shadows and broken buildings like wraiths. The hub loomed ahead, alien architecture sprawling and organic, yet unnatural, humming with energy that resonated in the bones. Guard patrols moved rhythmically, predictable yet menacing. The first confrontation came suddenly. A Therax patrol drone hovered into the human's path, its sensors glowing an ominous red. Tobias activated a makeshift EMP, sending sparks flying as the drone collapsed. The group held their breath, waiting, listening. The silence was deafening. Then came a single low click, a signal they had been spotted. Chaos erupted. The hub's alarms wailed like the cries of 1,000 lost souls. And Therax soldiers poured out, armed with weapons that shimmered with alien energy. Humans fired from cover, using salvaged explosives and rapid improvisation to strike back. Every shot, every maneuver, was calculated to maximize impact. Ilara ducked behind a crumbling wall, heart racing as she watched Tobias take down 2 soldiers in swift succession. Malik flanked the enemy, throwing a makeshift explosive that shattered a squad in a brilliant flash. Civilians they had rescued took cover, terrified yet determined, some even joining with improvised weapons, their fear transformed into fierce defiance. Amid the battle, Ilara spotted Lyra, the sister she thought lost. Controlled by the Therax, Lyra's movements were precise, mechanical, her eyes dimmed but flickering with recognition. The sight tore at Ilara's soul, yet steeled her resolve. She could not falter. She had to reclaim humanity not just for herself but for every soul the Therax sought to break. Moving through the chaos, Ilara confronted Lyra. "Lyra!" she shouted over the din, her voice trembling with desperation. Her sister hesitated, a flicker of awareness breaking through the alien control. "It's me, Ilara." "Remember who you are," Ilara pleaded, stepping closer despite the danger. For a heartbeat, Lyra's eyes met hers, humanity surfacing like sunlight through storm clouds. Then, with a shuddering gasp, she broke free, throwing herself into Ilara's arms. The embrace was brief but searing, a lifeline in a sea of carnage. The humans pushed forward, exploiting the confusion. They set charges, disabled alien machinery, and turned every piece of debris into an advantage. The Therax, though superior in strength and technology, were disoriented by the unpredictability of human tactics. In the midst of battle, A human sniper named Keon Voss perched atop a half-collapsed tower, picking off Therax reinforcements with unerring accuracy. His calm focus inspired those below. His shots were not just bullets, they were symbols of human tenacity. As the hub began to crumble under the onslaught, the humans found themselves surrounded. Therax reinforcements poured in from hidden corridors. Fear threatened to consume them, but then Ilara raised her voice, steady and commanding. "Hold your ground. Every life here is a testament. Fight for your family, your friends, for everyone who can't." The survivors roared back, a chorus of defiance that echoed through the broken city. Explosions shook the streets, alien armor shattered, and human ingenuity proved unstoppable in the chaos. Improvised traps claimed soldiers, ambushes turned tides, and the hub itself, teetering on the edge of collapse, became a weapon against its creators. By nightfall, the first major clash had ended. The humans stood battered, bloodied, and exhausted, but victorious. The hub was destroyed, its supply lines severed, and the Therax had learned for the first time that humans were more than mere prey. Ilara knelt amid the rubble, holding Lyra close. "We survived," she whispered, tears mixing with soot. "And we will survive again, and again, and again. We are human. That is our power." Tobias approached, his expression a mixture of relief and grim determination. "This is only the beginning. They'll come back stronger, but now, they know we fight with everything we are. They know we never surrender." Malik surveyed the ruined hub, eyes scanning the horizon. "And when they come, we will be ready. Every strike we take, every loss we endure, it will forge us into something unstoppable." From the ashes of Boston, humans had emerged not just as survivors, but as a force the Therax could not easily contain. Their first clash had proven it. Numbers and technology could be matched, outwitted and outlasted by courage, strategy, and the indomitable human spirit. And somewhere in the shadows, the stars themselves seemed to watch, waiting to see how far humanity could rise. The victory in Boston had been hard won, yet the humans knew it was only the beginning. Across the planet, small pockets of resistance erupted into coordinated strikes, emboldened by news of the hub's destruction. But the Therax were relentless, their wrath unmeasured, and humanity's fight was far from over. Ilara Wind stood on a ridge overlooking the ruins of what had once been a thriving city. Fires still burned in the distance, black smoke curling into the sky like mournful fingers. She clenched her fists, feeling the pulse of determination in her veins. Beside her, Lyra, now fully herself again, surveyed the battlefield. Though still fragile, she had reclaimed her humanity, a living testament to the resilience of the human spirit. "Every day we fight, we grow stronger," Ilara said, her voice carrying over the wind. "But every day they adapt too. We cannot falter." Tobias Wren approached, carrying a map marked with new intelligence. "They're concentrating forces in the northern territories. It's clear they're planning a counterstrike, a massive one. Thousands of soldiers, heavy weaponry. If they hit those settlements, we could lose everything we've built." Malik Korin's face hardened. "Then we strike first. Hit them before they can regroup, before their numbers crush us." Ilara nodded, but deep down she understood the cost. Each strike, each battle demanded sacrifices. Humans fought not only against aliens, but against the weight of grief, exhaustion, and fear. It was a war of spirit as much as of flesh. In the northern territories, survivors were already preparing. Sinovilan had gathered a coalition of scavengers, engineers, and fighters. Together they built barricades, reinforced shelters, and trained civilians to defend themselves. Children learned to move silently, to hide, to survive. Every small action became part of a greater strategy. The first engagement came under a cold gray sky. Therax dropships descended with precision, their silhouettes casting ominous shadows over the forests and hills. Humans hidden in trenches and behind rubble waited. Every heart pounded with tension. Every mind raced with strategies born from necessity. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Alien weapons blazed, cutting through trees and stone. Humans retaliated with ingenuity. Crude explosives, ambushes, and traps that exploited the predictable logic of the Therax. Civilians joined where they could, armed with salvaged weapons, their fear transformed into fierce determination. Ilara and Tobias moved through the chaos, coordinating strikes, saving lives, and sometimes witnessing death too close for comfort. Every encounter was a test, not just of skill, but of the human will to endure against impossible odds. At one point, Ilara found herself face-to-face with a Therax commander, an immense figure with armor that gleamed like obsidian. Its eyes, alien and cold, locked onto hers. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stand still. Then, with a scream of defiance, she struck, exploiting a weak point she had memorized from reconnaissance. The commander fell, a symbol of human cunning overcoming brute force. Yet the battle was not without cost. Villages burned, lives were lost, and the survivors began to realize that victory was never absolute. Humanity's strength lay not in invincibility, but in its relentless refusal to surrender. Every life lost fueled the fire of those still standing. Every tear shed sharpened the resolve of the living. In a quiet moment after the battle, Ilara gathered her closest allies. They were battered, weary, and scarred, but unbroken. Lyra rested against her shoulder. Tobias wiped soot from his face, and Malik surveyed the horizon with that familiar, steely determination. "We've held them off," Malik said, voice low. "But this is only the beginning. They will come again, and we must be ready. Not just to survive, but to strike with everything we have." Ilara's eyes shone with unshed tears and unwavering resolve. "They may have technology, numbers, and strength," she said. "But we have something they cannot comprehend. Heart. Humanity does not yield. We rise always. And the more they try to crush us, the fiercer we will burn." The survivors cheered softly, a fragile yet radiant chorus rising over the ruins. In that moment, amid smoke and destruction, hope ignited. It was not a naive hope, but a fierce, defiant light that refused to be extinguished. From the ashes of their cities, humans were forging not just a resistance, but a movement, a force that would shake the galaxy. The Therax might have believed themselves invincible, but they had underestimated the relentless spirit of humanity. And somewhere deep within the stars, the galaxy seemed to lean closer, sensing the storm humanity was becoming, a force of courage, of ingenuity, and of heart that no weapon could suppress. Ilara clenched her fists once more, feeling the pulse of a promise yet unfulfilled. "We will not falter," she whispered. "We will rise from every ruin, face every shadow, and strike with a force they cannot endure. This is our world, and we will reclaim it." The war was far from over, but the humans had lit a flame that could not be extinguished, a flame that would burn through the darkness of the galaxy itself. The stars above burned cold and distant, indifferent to the fires raging on Earth. But on the ground, every human heart blazed with purpose. The Therax had regrouped, sending fleets and legions to crush the resistance once and for all. Yet humanity was ready, not just to fight, but to rise. Ilara Wynn stood at the head of the coalition in the highlands outside what had once been Chicago. The survivors had gathered from every corner of the globe, their faces etched with scars, soot, and unyielding determination. Lyra stood beside her, now a symbol of human resilience reclaimed from the hands of the enemy. Tobias, Wren, and Malik Korn oversaw the positioning of troops, barricades, and improvised weaponry. Every human knew the stakes. The battle ahead could determine the survival of their species. "Today," Ilara began, her voice rising over the hushed murmurs of the coalition, "we face an enemy that believes they are invincible. They think they can break us, destroy us, erase humanity from the stars. But they forget one thing. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not yield. And humans, we rise from ashes." The soldiers cheered, fists raised, hearts ignited. From the youngest scavenger armed with a makeshift rifle to seasoned veterans wielding alien weapons adapted for human hands, each felt the surge of unity that no force in the galaxy could crush. The battle began with the Therax fleet descending from the sky, massive warships casting shadows that darkened the land. Alien energy weapons fired relentlessly, cutting through forests and leveled buildings. But humans had learned, adapted, and planned. Every strike was countered with ingenuity. Hidden turrets, collapsible barricades, and coordinated ambushes that turned the enemy's strength against them. Ilara led a small squad to the front line, moving with precision and courage. She watched as Lyra joined her, her eyes sharp with determination. "We fight not just for survival," Lyra said, voice firm. "We fight for every life they thought they could erase." The human resistance pressed forward with unyielding ferocity. Tobias coordinated flanking maneuvers, using terrain and debris to neutralize the alien firepower. Malik led daring raids against Therax landing crafts, collapsing structures onto enemy reinforcements and cutting off supply lines. The humans were no longer merely reacting, they were dictating the pace of the battle. Amid the chaos, Alara confronted the Therax general, a towering figure whose presence radiated authority and menace. The alien's armor shimmered with an unearthly light, weapons raised. It mocked humanity with silent confidence. Alara met its gaze, unflinching. You may have conquered worlds, destroyed civilizations, and thought yourselves gods. But you forgot one truth: the human spirit is relentless. We endure, we adapt, and we rise. The clash was brutal. Alara darted through the battlefield using strategy, cunning, and sheer willpower to weaken the general. Lyra flanked him, exploiting every opening while Tobias and Malik coordinated a strike that destabilized the Therax lines. Every human soldier fought not just for survival, but for the memory of what had been lost, the families, the cities, the future. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with fire and ash, the tide turned. The Therax forces faltered under the relentless human assault. Explosions rocked their command centers, their machinery faltered, and fear, a thing they had never truly understood, touched their ranks. Humans surged forward, relentless, unstoppable. Civilians who had hidden behind rubble now joined the battle, their courage turning into a tidal wave of defiance. Every loss, every scar, every memory of grief became a weapon. Humanity's heart had become their greatest arsenal. Finally, the Therax general fell, toppled not by brute force alone, but by a combination of ingenuity, courage, and sheer human determination. The surviving forces retreated, their confidence shattered, their arrogance broken. Alara stood atop a ridge, watching the battlefield quiet for the first time in weeks. Fires still burned, smoke rose in slow spirals, but the human survivors gathered, battered yet triumphant. Tobias approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. We did it. They've been forced to retreat. Alara's gaze remained on the horizon, a mix of relief and solemnity in her eyes. This is only the beginning, she said quietly. They will return, but now they know the cost. They know the price of underestimating humans. Lyra stepped beside her, eyes shining with the fire of victory. And next time we will be ready. Always ready. Malik nodded, surveying the horizon. Humanity has risen from the ashes. Today we've shown the galaxy what we are. Savage, perhaps? Relentless, always? But above all, unbroken. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, humans looked to them not as distant observers, but as conquerors of fear, masters of strategy, and bearers of hope. From the ashes of their ruined world, they had forged a force that no alien army could ignore. And somewhere in the silence of the cosmos, the galaxy waited, recognizing that a new power had awakened, the relentless, indomitable spirit of humanity. The galaxy had watched in silence, and now it would witness the rise of humanity. Earth's skies were scorched, cities were ruins, and yet the human spirit burned brighter than any star. Survivors from across the planet had gathered, their faces etched with pain, determination, and an unshakable resolve. Alara Wynn stood at the forefront, the weight of leadership resting on her shoulders, but her heart unbowed. Lyra, fully reclaimed and strengthened by the trials she had endured, stood beside her. Tobias Wren and Malik Korin coordinated final reinforcements, ensuring the humans were ready not just for another fight, but for the dawn of a new era. This is it, Alara said, her voice carrying across the makeshift assembly. We have survived storms that should have broken us. We have faced enemies who believed themselves gods. They sought to erase us, to extinguish our flame, but they have forgotten the one thing that defines humanity. We rise. From ashes, from despair, from death itself, we rise. A roar of agreement erupted from the gathered humans. Their weapons were improvised, their numbers smaller, their bodies weary, but their courage radiated like a supernova. Every loss had hardened them, every sacrifice had strengthened them, and every memory of grief had transformed into a relentless, burning resolve. The Therax had regrouped in orbit, their warships forming a menacing crescent above Earth. Their technology was formidable, and yet humans had learned to anticipate, to adapt, to strike with precision born of desperation and ingenuity. They had turned every disaster into an advantage, every ruin into a battlefield, and every loss into a lesson. Ilara led the charge. Human forces struck with a ferocity the Therax had never anticipated. Ambushes, decoys, and improvised weapons shredded the alien formations. Civilians fought alongside soldiers, each individual a spark in a wildfire of defiance. Even the children who had survived the early assaults now carried the legacy of resilience, guiding supplies, warning of patrols, and embodying the unyielding spirit of their species. The Therax general, the same who had survived the Northern Clash, descended in a massive warship to crush humanity once and for all. But the humans were ready. Ilara, Lyra, Tobias, and Malik led a strike team that navigated the chaos with precision. Using ingenuity, they exploited weaknesses in the alien vessel, turning its own strength into its undoing. Ilara faced the general one final time. Its towering form radiated menace, yet her gaze held no fear, only unwavering determination. "You sought to dominate us," she said, voice echoing with authority and conviction. "You thought your power absolute. But you underestimated the essence of humanity. We endure, we adapt, we rise. And today we are unstoppable." The battle that followed was fierce, a clash of will, intelligence, and courage. Ilara and Lyra fought side by side, their combined strength a symbol of human resilience. Tobias and Malik coordinated the broader assault, ensuring that every maneuver, every strike, every sacrifice maximized the humans' advantage. Explosions rocked the warship and the Therax forces faltered, caught off guard by the relentless adaptability of their prey. Finally, with a coordinated surge, the humans toppled the Therax general, its warship plummeting toward the surface. The surviving alien forces scattered, leaderless and broken, retreating into the darkness of space. Humanity had prevailed, not through sheer firepower alone, but through courage, ingenuity, and the indomitable heart of a species that refused to be conquered. As silence fell over the battlefield, humans looked across the horizon, seeing the ruins of their world bathed in the light of the rising sun. The earth was battered, scarred, yet alive. And humanity, though tested beyond imagination, stood unbroken. Ilara raised her hands, her voice carrying over the survivors. "We have fought, we have bled, and we have endured. But this victory is more than survival. It is proof. Proof that humanity's spirit cannot be crushed, cannot be subdued, cannot be erased. From ashes we rise. And from now on the galaxy will know humans are relentless. Humans are savage in their courage. And humans, we will never be defeated." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining with pride and resolve. "Our world, our home, our future, we reclaim it. Not just for us, but for every life they thought they could take." Tobias and Malik joined the proclamation. "We are humanity. We are the spark that refuses to die, and no force in the universe can extinguish that fire." From the ashes of destruction, humanity had not only survived, they had ascended. Their victories would echo across the stars, a testament to courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit. And as the sun rose over the scarred horizon, a promise was forged in fire. No matter the odds, no matter the darkness, humanity would endure, rise, and prevail. The galaxy had seen their fire, and it would never forget the day humans rose from ashes to claim their destiny. The war was over, for now. But the legend of humanity's relentless heart had only just begun.